Ah, winter. The chill in the air, the frost in the trees, the snow on the ground. Well, for some people, I live in Los Angeles where winter means I maybe close my windows at night. But, in the spirit of the season, let's look at a couple effect shots from Hearthwarming Eve. Starting with this one. This shot is a great example of the benefits of using vector graphics. If this were hand-drawn, either digitally or scanned in, it'd be hard to keep the line thickness from looking all funny. So, first things first, I drew up my own copy of the final shot. I built the characters out of bits from the resource kit and drew the rest out from scratch. Now we just need to simulate a camera move. I'd love to go all high-tech and use a camera extension to plan out the move, but it won't work if we try and composite this shot in After Effects, so lo-fi it is. So let's start by making the whole shot into one symbol. Now, we don't have a layout drawing to guide us, so I just grabbed a still from the episode. Let's make it a symbol and turn down the alpha so we can see through it. And let's start with the rarity part first. So the overall shot's 120 frames, but the move is actually from 15 to 33. So let's hit F6 and add a keyframe on both of those frames. Then on frame 15 we'll scale up our scene and move it around to match our reference. Oh, and don't forget we need frame 1 to match frame 15, so if we select our keyframe and Alt drag or Option drag it over to frame 1, it'll make a copy. Okay, now let's make a motion tween for our move. And now we just need some easing to smooth it out. We want to start out slow, speed up through the middle, and slow down at the end. So let's add a keyframe in the middle at frame 24 so we can have a different easing on each half. Let's go all the way and set -100 on the first half and 70 on the second half. That looks about right, so let's export an SWF of our scene and do the same with the other two parts. So here we are in After Effects. I've got my 3 SWFs lined up on the timeline and I've got my guide on top. Now if I select one of the side layers, I can take the pen tool and draw a quick mask around what I want to keep. And I'll leave the center part alone to make sure I don't end up with any gaps in the image. Well, this looks like a nice shot, but it's not very wintry. So let's look at this growing ice effect from later in the episode. And just like before, I drew up my own version of the shot. We've got the background, we've got Rainbow Dash,
It's Commander Hurricane!
and we've got the ice layer that we'll bring in with a mask. Masks in Flash are pretty simple. Whatever's opaque or transparent in this layer will be opaque or transparent in this one when I lock them. So I just drew a rectangle and used the selection tool to create some extra points. If you hold down Control or Command, you can drag out new points on a line or shape. I've touched before on how infuriating shape tweens can be and how easily they break into a jumbled mess if things aren't perfect. The best thing you can do is, instead of morphing between two different shapes, is to use the same shape and just alter it. That way you keep the same number of points throughout and it's less likely to break. I went every 12 frames or so and slowly moved the shape up, revealing more and more of the ice as I went along. Even then it probably won't work the way it's supposed to. That's where shape hints come in. If we add a shape hint, we'll get this little red circle with the letter A on it. If we go to the first key and drag it to the point we want to correct, you see it turns yellow. Then we go to the second key and drag it to the corresponding point and it'll turn green. And if we add another, we'll get a letter B. One guess as to how many hints you can have on one shape. One of the downsides is that each tween will need its own shape hints, so a complex animation may need a lot of love. To give the ice some thickness, I've got another copy of the ice layer that's one flat color. I then made a copy of the mask layer, offset it by a couple frames, and tweaked the points to make it a little less even and mechanical. I ended up cutting these little icicles off and putting them on a new layer with their own mask to make sure they come on at the right time. And as an extra touch, I added some little twinkles to the ice. For these, I just made a shape with the Polystar tool and scaled it up and down randomly. Then I put some instances all over and offset the start frames to make it even more random. There, looks pretty good. So hooray, I actually made an episode in 2013. So have a happy holidays and consider this my New Year's resolution to do a better job in 2014.